Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're going to be taking a look at PtP Forest. This is a game AI based deck. It should be tier 2 I think at the moment, and it's quite strong. So the basics of the deck. Basically you are control the board, fill up your hand, stock up on Fairies, Altered Fate as much as you can on a full hand to get those Path of Purgatories out in the late game. You can also win just by controlling the early game, getting to the later game, and having your Crystal Errands and stuff just completely demolish boards over and over again, along with the Willow Forest and Crystal Tears. Stuff like that works really well. So we'll get right into some games and go over some alright mulligans. First matchup is against Sword, someone using the Shadowverse Streetfighter skins, which are pretty okay, I guess. So this is an alright hand. Getting a 1-drop, getting the Glimmering Wings is okay, and then the H&L for 3 works out okay. You really do want to aim for something else though. Getting as many 1-drops in your hand, getting as many Fairy stocking cards so you can bolster your hand. Those sort of cards work really nicely overall. So from here you just want to control, kill off what you can, as much as you can, so that your board is completely clear. So you can just kind of chip away at your opponent slowly. The major win cons, I guess, would be a potential roach combo, your complete and utter crushing of a board, or just PtP right at the end. It's usually the best way to do this. Usually your opponent will concede before PtP gets to go off, which is kind of unfortunate, but this is one of the few forest decks I don't actually mind playing, just because Path to Purgatory is a great fun card to play, and nearly any deck can utilize it, but Forest has always had that kind of special spot for Path to Purgatory. So they do go for the Alice, so they are playing a neutral sword variant, which is a disadvantage matchup personally. It's one that I've never done that great against, but with an okay hand usually you can outvalue them. Especially with big things like H&L. Sometimes you are getting rid of things though, like I have got an H&L in my hand, but an Altered Fate can be a good play. You've just got to weigh up what's worth getting rid of and what's worth keeping per matchup, and that will vary based on who you're versing, what your playstyle is, and how you want to utilize the deck. So me personally, I just dump the whole hand. Why not? We've got plenty of stats to follow up with that. And we can just fill the hand from here. Brambles is a pretty good card. You get the 1 damage, it allows you to trade up pretty nicely, or just trade off in general. So we do get Sylvian Justice, another card that's great for stocking and clearing. But we just, you know, play our Fairies, trade, do all that sort of stuff. Why not? Fill up the board so that when they have to trade, it's going to be a good advantage. Especially with those clash effects. Unfortunately, they do play the Angelic Slacker. Luckily, we have Will of the Forest. With a decent hand, usually you can clear any board. And with that, drop them 2. We only need 6, we have 7 in hand. Will of the Forest clears this board completely. And we can just play out what we like. I mean, we're going into turn 8, which will be Crystal and Errand turns. So we can just play those, control, hit them in the face until Path of Purgatory is pretty much ready. Hope we can draw into something else like Altered Fate, which is a pretty effective card. Luminous Mage though, coming out. We do have to deal with that. Luckily, like I said, the errands are great way to absolutely demolish boards. The healing, the evolve, and the stats are just amazing, I guess. Especially if you get to use them on a board like this. And we've got a Wood of Brambles, which is a good stocking card, along with the Water Fairy, giving us more stock to our hand, just in case we draw an Altered Fate and want to use that with the Path to get that early advantage. Tsubaki, card you gotta watch out for against a lot of sword matchups. They will clear your big threats, which is difficult. H and Elf, pretty solid. I mean, we can pretty much just block out the board. I do make one error here. I shouldn't have flooded the board quite as much as I did. I should have left a spot for the H and Elf and then just played it. Instead, I just decided to flood the entire board, which is probably the wrong move. But it does work out. I mean, they aren't going to kill me from here. Best case, they play Albert, which they do. And they just don't have the damage to absolutely decimate me. And next turn, we can just trade however we like. I mean, we get the trade up thanks to Brambles. And with May being able to do that, we could return it for the H and Elf, or we can just play the Crystalla and play that out. We've definitely got options. That's what I like about this deck. Usually your board control options are great. Hitting face isn't your biggest concern every time. You're mainly just looking to control. That's your main focus. Limiting your damage while hitting your opponent. Until you're ready to pass the Purgatory, in which case you can pretty much just annihilate every board possible. Another Albert. Gonna probably double trade here. Not a big issue. We've got another H and Elf and an Evolve point. Plus, if we wanted to, we could just trade into him. Fortunately though, the Roach is much better. So there's no real concern with this Albert. They can only deal 6 damage. They'd need at least another Albert and a way to get over an H and L to deal with us. Whereas Roach fits out this curve really well. So I probably should have saved the Evolve for the second Roach play. But it didn't really matter at this point. We're going to get the same value out of it, and we're going to be able to path to Purgatory next turn, provided they kill off the board anyway. Pretty much absolutely demolishing them. And the next matchup, probably the last. Some of these decks take a long time to play out matches, so I don't want these videos being too long. But we do have a alright hand. Roach is kinda bad, but decide to just roll with it. I mean, we are facing Blood, where something like Roach might come in handy to control the early game, and we've got everything else that we'd need to control it, so why not? No turn 1 play though. No good to play the Elf Child, not getting any value. But the Sylveon, great. Stock our hand up a little bit, set up for turn 4 with the Glimmering if we want to. And we can just play the Elf if we want here instead. Especially since they didn't play anything else. There's no real reason to hold on to it. The one thing this deck's great at is stocking your hand full of cards. Sometimes you do have to be careful of overdrawing though. Something I'm always trying to be wary of with this deck. And your matchups are pretty much played out no matter who you're facing. Some more aggressive decks, you do want to be more aggressive with trading. Some control-y decks, you can just kind of be a little bit more reserved. But for the most part, you are aiming for the same end result of making sure your opponent has nothing on board. Something like Spiderweb though, real problem card. For the most part, you can probably ignore it in the early game. Which is what I kind of aim for here. Fortunately, not too worried, I'm going to Altered Fate this entire hand. So playing out cards just to gain shadows is completely fine. And we are running 3 paths, so ditching 1 to an Altered Fate is usually okay. Especially if we could have got a second Altered Fate, we would have been so close to having that early game locked down. But Will of the Forest coming to our rescue on a full hand, that's going to be 8 damage. And we can just Elf Child May and attack if we feel the need. The main thing was to hit that 2-2-1, or for the Elf Child to hit it, so we had a couple of ways to do that. Just so when we do trade here, we're not going to be at too much of a loss. I might have been better off playing the Water Fairy though. I would have got the same value and been able to keep down Maze. It was just a small mistake, but it's something to be aware of. We are 19 shadows in, as you can tell by the counter. So we only need 11 more to activate Path of Purgatory. And of course we have to deal with this. Fortunately, with a little bit of luck, we're pretty easily able to get that 50-50 split. And the Ancient Elf, why not? Returning our hand, stocking us back up, creating a nice body, and going into turn 8 you go straight into the Crystallar. It's a great thing you can set up. If you can set up that you're going into using your last Evo on turn 7 for a trade to clear board, then going into turn 8 and so on is really easy to win. Provided you're not versing Dragon, in which case going into any kind of late game is nearly an instant loss anyway. But I have had some pretty good success with this deck, and I hope you guys do too. It's a fun deck to play, especially being a Path deck. There's nothing I'd really change in it. It's all pretty consistent. It's not too expensive. You're only running, what, 4 legendaries, 3 Ancient Elves, and 1 Crystallar, which can all be obtained from the, the pre-built first deck, I believe, is Ancient Elf and Crystal. So you can get some of the cards from there if you need to. There's Blood doing everything they can to stay alive. Not so bad for me. But we just play another Crystal. Taking 1 damage, no real issue. They're also short on the evolve, so I'm not worried about them actually doing anything. I mean, what else could they really play here, other than maybe spawn a Kara? So, we're pretty safe. So, as always, I'll have this deck list in the description below if any of you guys want to check it out and have some fun with it. Like I said, did pretty well for me, so hopefully it'll do pretty well for you guys. And if you enjoy playing Forest, it's probably one of the strongest variants at the moment, especially since it does okay against aggro-y style decks. You will still lose occasionally, but for the most part, you'll have a good shot. So if you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.